start today with Haryana, where voting in 90 assembly seats is now over. The voter turnout has been 61%, but that's only till 5 p.m. Remember, it was 69% in 2019. Then the polls in Haryana will determine the political fate of a 10-year-old BJP government and Chief Minister Manjeet Singh Sandhu. Can the BJP overcome 10 years of anti-incumbency, or will the Congress stage a comeback in Haryana?
Joining us now from across the state, we've got Kamaljeet Singh Sandhu. She heads up our Haryana Bureau. Also with us for a perspective from Jammu and Kashmir in Srinagar, we have Mir Farid. Manjeet Sehgal joins us from Ambala. I want to go across to Kamaljeet Sandhu first because the intensity of voting is going to be very consequential. Remember, in about an hour from now, we'll start bringing you the numbers for the state of Haryana. And so far, Kamaljeet, from the reports that you've picked up from across the state, how intense is polling being? Is it looking similar to last time? Is it less than last time? What can you tell us about the intensity of the voting? Kamaljeet? A question to Manjeet Sehgal, who's currently in Ambala. Manjeet, from across the state, what are you picking up about the level of interest that voters have in actually having gone out and voted through the day?
Well, Rahul, if we talk about the poll percentage, the statewide poll percentage is just 61%, which is nearly 7% less as compared to 2019. We are in Ambala. Look at the gate. They have been closed. There are no voters now. So there were large queues of voters earlier in the morning, but it was sluggish throughout the day. Three districts, particularly Fatehabad, Yamunanagar and Palwal, recorded the highest poll percentage, Rahul, that is 67%, and Gurugram has reported the lowest poll percentage, that is 49%. So this is being attributed to the holiday because this was a gazetted holiday followed by Sunday. So the urban voters were sluggish. They did not come out their houses much. Out of the 2 crore voters, only 1 crore voters came out of their homes to poll, to exercise their right to franchise. Urban voters were quite active. There were seen long queues of voters, but still it is less as compared to 2019, Rahul.
You know, that's interesting because, and I'll get Preeti in a moment on that, because Kamaljeet, the general belief has been that when you have reports of anti-incumbency, then that results in high voter turnout. But what we are seeing at the moment is at best what can be called moderate, similar almost to last time, could even end up just about what it was last time, 69%. Are you surprised that people have not come out in larger numbers?
Rajdeep, you're absolutely right. 2019 we saw around 69%, and this time also just about 63% just a while ago. Yamunanagar leading all the way. But yes, what would be disappointing for BJP is the urban votes. And remember, as far as the urban areas, whether it's Gurgaon, whether it's Faridabad, the other areas including Palwal, they have seen lesser voting take place. So this is where the worry could be. And the other is obviously the consolidation of Jat vote versus the non-Jat vote, because BJP would be really relying on that, with the Hooda camp leading the Jat vote at this point of time. The OBC candidate, even Manjeet Singh Sandhu, he's been aiming and eyeing the non-Jat vote. Now, there has been an aspect where both the sides have been saying that they're wooing the Chhattis Biradari, and each of them claim to have their particular votes. But definitely, as far as this is concerned, we've known that BJP for quite some time, with Manohar Khattar as a Punjabi Khatri, followed by Manjeet Singh Sandhu as a OBC face, they have made a very significant punch right there, and they have been wooing the non-Jats. But this time, the anger is very much there, and what we've seen is, whether it's about the Kisan, the Jawan, the Pahalwan, they're all coming together. And that also, besides, is the 10-year anti-incumbency.
Okay.
So this has been an uphill task for BJP, but they have given a very good fight in several of the locations, including Ladwa, where Chief Minister himself is contesting
Rahul, if I may
against
come in,
Manjeet Singh of the Congress Party, who's the sitting MLA. So it's a very interesting fight.
Rahul, if I may come in here on how to interpret the voting, turnout. If I would be the BJP, I'd be watching the GT Karnal belt and I would be watching the Ahirwal belt. Now, these were the two areas where the Bharatiya Janata Party got its mammoth share of votes in 2019. And when I look at it, I'd be a little worried for the BJP, and why I say that. Areas like Kurukshetra, areas like Karnal, areas like Faridabad, Gurgaon, was where the BJP had gotten the maximum vote from its urban centers. This is the area right now which is really sluggish in terms of voting. Some centers that I'm looking at have not even gone beyond 40% at 5 o'clock. So I'd be a tad worried, because these are the two areas that the BJP needs to hold on to and then move forward and try to gain in other parts of Haryana. If voting is sluggish here, I'd be worried for the BJP.
Amitabh Tiwari, how does this voting percentage really pan out? If voting percentages are lesser than in 2019, is it to the disadvantage of the incumbent?
See, actually there is no strong correlation, but if you see in 2019, voting percentage was lower and BJP emerged as the single largest party. In 2014, voting percentage was high and BJP emerged as the winner. So, because there was an anti-incumbency vote. I agree with Preeti here that the areas where the turnout is lower is your GT road belt and your Ahirwal and Faridabad belt. And those are the urban centers of the Haryana state also.
Is the BJP fighting with the hope of winning, or are they fighting to ensure that they put up a good fight and they didn't come away decimated?
Well, see, this is where I think BJP for the past few state elections have fallen into a trap that media has been successfully able to project as if they're going to lose a state. And then the morale goes down and they find it really hard to build it up from there. The same has happened with Karnataka also. I mean, they lost the election even before the first vote was polled. However, the election results, the vote share, if you see, was very, very close. And this is what I want to say is that any amount of preemptive discussion around vote share doesn't necessarily project. By the way, this is a 5 p.m. vote share. I believe it is going to go up to 68-69%, which would be same as what we saw in 2019 election. 2014 was an aberration. 2014 state election was really way high polling. There were a lot of hopes and aspirations. That is not there. So it will be, tending back to the mean, which is 68.
It's interesting, Rahul, and I've been trying to, Amitabh possibly can correct me. When I look at those who have survived the 10-year itch and are in power at the moment, there's Gujarat, where the BJP has been in power way back since 1995, and there is Mamata Banerjee in Bengal, who's been in power since 2011. But otherwise, look across the country. You could argue Pema Khandu in Arunachal. Those are smaller states. But among the big states, these are the only two states that come to mind where a government has been in power and elected a third time. So I think somewhere BJP is fighting history this time in Haryana. It's not easy in any state of the country to survive the 10-year itch. And I think, therefore, if they even get a respectable number...
No, but there's a big difference, Rajdeep. The BJP, if it has a 10-year itch, the Congress is a 5-year itch. Which Congress government has got re-elected? Wherever they've been in power in a state, in 5 years they tend to get voted out. One of the things the BJP is saying, hey, at least we've been in power for 10 solid years here.
No, look, Haryana is an interesting exception in a way. You had 10 years of Huda's rule and you had 10 years of the BJP rule. But you're right, the Congress suffers from a 5-year itch. You could argue Congress governments don't get re-elected. I think that's a huge challenge for the Congress. The big advantage they have in Haryana, and Preeti, you please come in, is the fact that the Congress, if they do well, is because it's the default option. You see, what will be interesting to watch in Haryana is what happens to the regional parties. These have been the two parties, JJP now and earlier the INLD, between them have always got 25-30% of the vote. 25% at the very minimal. And that has helped the BJP, because then it meant even at 32-33%, like in 2014, the BJP emerged as the single largest party. So I think Haryana will be a test.
But there is a larger trend towards bipolarity in all states, whether you take a Karnataka.
Sure.
In most states, wherever, even in Madhya Pradesh, the BSP for a while tended to do well. In most states, there is a growing trend towards bipolarity.
But
and
it
that's
hasn't
been
happened,
a trend
Rahul.
in state.
In Haryana, it hasn't happened. The last
so
time
far,
there was a bipolar election.
In
it
recent
happened in Lok Sabha.
elections.
It happened in Lok Sabha, but in recent elections in Vidhan Sabha,
Sure.
it hasn't happened. Let's look at even the BJP.
No, we're talking only about recent elections. Even in recent elections, for example, in a state like Karnataka, earlier it was a triangular election. It's only in recent times that elections have become bipolar.
See,
so it's not as
happening because even at the national level, if you see, how many non-aligned parties are left? Very few. Most of the parties, regional parties, have aligned with either India Bloc or
but
the
can
India
I say
Bloc.
something?
Yeah,
There's something.
Non-aligned
Tell us
parties
what you saw
do
on
not
the
even
ground.
have 20 seats now.
Why is that happening?
That is happening because of the fact that a lot of other smaller parties, leaders from them are hopping onto the bandwagon of the BJP. In the past, if you see 10 years, a lot of leaders from smaller parties have joined the BJP.
And in Haryana, you had Dushyant Chautala.
No,
Do you think that was a factor? When you went to Haryana, JJP and INLD, were they retaining their votes or not?
Well, Haryana is very interesting. Let's look at it. There are over 1,000 candidates in the poll fray. I'd like to add as a side note, just about 82 women. Having said that, that's a topic for a separate discussion. Out of the 1,000 candidates, Rajdeep, if you actually look at it, where the JJP comes into concern, where the INLD comes into concern, most of the candidates are actually looked as Team B of the Bharatiya Janata Party. They are not looked as, Haryana is actually the voters. Look at what happened in 2019. The JJP fought an election which was entirely against the BJP. JJP comes up with 10 MLAs and the JJP allies with the Bharatiya Janata Party. There are people who are actually looking at this, that these regional parties, some of them are actually going to play into the hands of the BJP. Number two, what's interesting in Haryana, which no one's talking about, is the 1,000 candidates, 458 are independents. Can you imagine the number of independents and the truck that some of these independents actually have?
So I think the challenge and the hope for the BJP is that, yes, there's anti-incumbency. Will the anti-incumbency get fractured? If the anti-incumbency gets fractured, then I think the BJP will believe it has a fair chance, even in a state like Haryana. But if it is bipolar, then the BJP's chances reduce to that extent.
Here. When voters don't know how votes getting split can impact potential outcomes, that's how Dushyant Chautala, despite it being an anti-BJP vote, ends up in government. After a while, the concern is that voters can start seeing through these tactics. And the moment that happens, then you've got two poles. You've got the BJP as the central pole of Indian politics, and you've got the India Alliance pole, which can be the Congress in some states and parties like the TMC in others. And that gets established as the new political norm, because these tactics of splitting votes by propping up these third parties, initially maybe voters don't see through it. Ultimately, they can very well see through what's happening.
I think you're right, and this part of the strategy has run its course. You can't have, say, an MIM coming in and obviously going in and denting the Muslim vote. It doesn't happen that well now.
Or the BSP in Uttar Pradesh.
BSP also, and here also. See, in Haryana specifically, if I were to say, BJP only could bank upon strategic maneuvers like this. They didn't have a narrative put in place that well. So the only thing they could do is to perhaps hope part of it and also ensure some of these independents pick up a seat like Maham seat. Over there, you see a HJP, a small party here and there, Kupal Kundu's party here and there, who might be able to consolidate, the anti-Congress vote and just spring up a surprise.
I'll give you an example. Mehem you're talking about.
Yeah.
There is Deepak Hooda, who's standing on a Congress ticket.
The
Can I tell
player.
you? Yes, the Kabaddi player. But can I also tell you there are 18 other Jat independents that are standing up against on that seat.
Look at that,
so
all
it is
of
a
that is
Jat
Jat,
stronghold.
yeah?
It is a
21
73% Jat dominated constituency. What you've done is technically you've fielded 18 Jat candidates. The vote automatically will get fractured because when it comes down to these smaller constituencies, each of those Jat leaders will take away 5,000 or 6,000 of their own votes.
So I think this is what Congress BJP is banking upon.
You see, the BJP is banking upon that. We don't know whether that will happen.
But
there are times when elections do become bipolar.
I think what we've seen in Uttar Pradesh during the Lok Sabha elections is a very clear evidence of the fact that voters beyond a while can see through these tactics.
So they
work
saw through the
for
JJP.
a while.
So they saw through JJP and look at Devilal's daughters-in-law. They got mere 20,000 votes in a Lok Sabha constituency. That's how JJP's base was completely eroded and decimated.
And this time around,
just
I'd
Lok
be
Sabha.
surprised. I'd be surprised even in Uchana Kalam, Dushyant Chautala, who's the deputy
He'll
CM.
win,
Many
might not
suggest
win,
might not even
Yes,
be
yes.
able to hold on to his deposit. It's that bad.
Okay,
However, that said, the number of candidates in Haryana this time is lower than last time.
Yeah.
Lower than last time. It used to be 13 per seat. It is 11.5 per
Look,
seat this time.
the
Also
interesting
there's a
thing
difference,
yes.
Rajdeep. The difference is that in 2019, even though there was anti-incumbency built up over 5 years against the Manohar Lal Khattar government, at that time the Congress, because they were shocked and awed by the Lok Sabha results of 2019, simply weren't able to get their act in order in order to be able to fight a meaningful campaign. Here they've gone in thinking they have a chance, and that's how they've approached the election. Last time, they just thought the party was all over the place. They didn't know whether they had a chance. They didn't give the Hoodas the right opportunity. Here they projected a general. The general has some purchase on the ground, and they've all rallied around him.
No, but one of the things that has changed, remember one thing, in Haryana Lok Sabha, the BJP got 58% of the vote in the Lok Sabha elections, huge amount.
Sure.
They came down by 22% between Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha in just the space of 5 months. And what we've seen since 2019 is in general a gap between BJP Lok Sabha and BJP Vidhan Sabha, which is why Haryana is important. Haryana will tell us whether this is a decline that we are witnessing generally. When Mr. Modi is on the ticket, the BJP does disproportionately better. You see, what is the Congress banking on? Because look, if you go by Lok Sabha, BJP is actually 2 seats more than the Congress. BJP was leading in 44 constituencies, Congress was leading in 42. If you divide Lok Sabha into Vidhan Sabha, they both won 5 seats each. The moment you have Vidhan Sabha, is the Modi factor no longer there? And if it is not there, how much of an advantage is that to the opposition? This is not just important for what will happen in Haryana. There's also a big battle coming in Maharashtra and
Rajdeep,
Jharkhand.
where Haryana is concerned, the BJP's hold has been shrinking since 2009. It had 4 seats in 2009. It rose to a dramatic 47 in 2014, largely riding on the Modi wave. 2019, it dramatically shrunk again. You had the JJP coming in because it was short of majority.
Yes,
where the Dalit vote was concerned, where the Jat vote was concerned, they did concede votes to the Congress and to the JJP.
No, but the point I'm making, Preeti,
and look at Lok Sabha,
even in Lok
it's
Sabha,
become smaller.
Even in Lok Sabha, don't forget, BJP purely translating Lok Sabha into Vidhan Sabha was still 2 seats ahead of the Congress. For the fact that there are 5 seats on. My bigger point is this. India votes differently in Vidhan Sabha and Lok Sabha.
Exactly.